Hi Year 4, today is Tuesday the 9th of February and we are looking at multiplying a 2-digit number by a 1-digit number. Yesterday we started looking at this and how to use the short multiplication. We're going to have a recap of how to do that now looking at this question. So each tray has 24 rolls. How many rolls are there in total? Well, there are 2 trays. So there's 2 lots of our 24. So if we were going to draw this onto our graph paper in the short multiplication, it would look like this. Our 24 at the top lined up with our 10s and 1s. Then underneath we're going to write what we are timesing our number by. Remember we were timesing it by 2. So we write times by 2. Draw our lines with a nice straight object. And then we can calculate our answer. The ones column first of all, 4 times by 2. 4 times by 2 is 8. So we can put 8 in the ones column, in that one square that we have there. Then we're going to calculate 20 times by 2. 20 times by 2 is 40. So we have 4 tens, 40, and we're going to put that in the tens column. That shows us 2 times 24 equals 48. There are 48 rolls in total. I would like you to look closely at our short multiplication and see how we have one number in each column. One square, one number. That is really important for the next part of our lesson. We also looked at using Dean's blocks in a place value chart to calculate our multiplications. So we have the multiplication 25 times 3. I would draw this in my place value chart using my Dean's counters. 2 strips of 10, so I've got 2 10s and 5 1s. That makes the total number of 25. But I need 25 times by 3. So we need to draw 3 rows of my 25. So I'm going to draw those in now. Now we can calculate our multiplications. 3 lots of 5 is 15. We have 15 ones in our ones column. Next, we can look at our tens column. We have 20 times by 3. 3 lots of 20, which is a total of 60. So I have 6 tens in my tens column. Now remember I said it was very important that we only have one number per square. If I was to write the total of the ones column into my short multiplication, I wouldn't have room to write 15 ones. So we need to do an exchange. We are going to move 10 of our ones into the tens column. So taking away 10 ones counters and swapping them for 1 tens. That leaves us with 5 ones in our ones column and 7 tens in our tens column, showing that we have a total of 75. Today we are also going to look at how we use the long multiplication. So this looks slightly differently. Here I have a question, 4 times 24, which I've drawn out in a place value chart using place value counters. I've got 2 tens and 4 ones, so that's showing me 24. And it's 24 times by 1, 2, 3, 4, because I have 4 rows altogether. Drawing my long multiplication will look a bit like this. 24 times by 4, very similar to how we start our short multiplication. But instead of drawing 2 lines, we only draw 1. That is so we can do some more working out down here. We are going to write down each step we take. So the first step to my multiplication is solving 4 times 4, which I'm going to write at the side. 4 times 4. My total of 4 times 4 is 16, which I can write underneath the correct tens and ones column. Next, I'm going to calculate my next step. So that's 20 times by 4. 4 times 20, our total is 80. So I write that into my long multiplication, making sure I line up my tens and ones. Now I can draw my second straight line. And I'm actually going to do a third line underneath to create that answer area again. To solve my multiplication, I now need to add the total of my 2 steps. So I have 6 ones and 9 tens. And we can see how that works in our place value chart by doing an exchange. As you can see, there are 16 ones in the ones column, which is too many to fit in one column. So we are going to take 10 ones and exchange them for 1 tens counter. That leaves us with 6 ones in our ones counter, in our ones column, and 9 counters in our tens column. Exactly the same as if we had added our totals here, 6 in the ones and 9 in our tens. That shows us that 4 times 24 equals 96. We have just completed this question using the long multiplication, but we could also do this in the short multiplication. So we still have 24 times by 4. And we've drawn this into our short multiplication with our normal lines at the bottom. Our first step is always to calculate the ones column, so 4 times by 4. 4 times by 4 is 16. But we can't fit 16 into our ones area because we can only put one number per box, remember. So instead, I'm going to have to do my exchange. And I can show my exchange in the short multiplication by writing my 1 underneath the tens column. That is showing the 10 counters that I moved over into the tens column and exchanged for 1 tens counter. So this is my 1 tens counter. And how many ones do I have left? I have 6. So I can write that into my ones column. Next, I look at my tens column. 20 times by 4. 2 tens times by 4. So I have 8 tens. But remember, we've got that extra 1 10 at the bottom. So altogether, that is a total of 9 tens, 90. So that shows how we can work this question out in our short multiplication. I would like you to have a go at working this question out in the short multiplication. So first of all, we are going to calculate our ones column. We have 6 times by 3. 6 times by 3 gives us a total of 18. But we can't fit 18 into our 1 square box because we can only put one number in each square. So we're going to have to do an exchange and get rid of some of these ones. We are going to swap 10 ones for 1 tens counter. And that is our exchange. So now we can see how many tens counters have we now gained. We have gained 1. And how many ones counters do we have left? We have 8. Now we can calculate our next step, the tens column. So I have 110, so that's 10 times by 3. 10 times by 3 is 30. Adding on our extra 10 though that we exchanged gives us a total of 4 tens counters, 40. So we've calculated our answer as 3 times 16 equals 48. I would like you to have another go at trying to solve this question, 3 times 71. Pause the video and then unpause to see how I've completed this question. So in our ones column, we have 1 times by 3. 1 times by 3 is 3. So I can write that into my ones column. Next, I have my tens column. 7 tens times by 3. 7 times by 3 is 21. So I have 21 tens over here, 210. That is too many numbers to fit into my one square box. So we are going to have to do an exchange. I'm going to take 10 of my tens counters and exchange them for one 100s counter. But I still have too many tens counters. So I'm going to take another 10 tens counters and exchange it for another 100 counter. So now we can look at our question. How many exchanges did we do? Well, we've got 2 counters that we made exchanges for. So I'm going to write that in the next column underneath my line. I made 2 exchanges. There's 2 100s counters that I exchanged. Now I can look back in my tens column. How many counters do I have left? I have 1 10, so I can write 1 in my tens column. We haven't got any hundreds to multiply by, which means all we have to do now is calculate the total in our hundreds column. That is the 2 which we had exchanged underneath, giving us a total of 213. Therefore, 3 times 71 equals 213. You are now ready to solve the questions on your own. Complete the rest of the PowerPoint and send me some pictures of how you got on.